Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Carolyn. I'm the mom to twin baby girls, Summer and Winter. And today I want to share with you a little bit about what it's like to travel pregnant. And in my case, pregnant with twins. Let's get right to it. If you're used to watching my channel, you're probably used to bright light because I usually film during the day, but I'm filming in the evening today. So I hope that the lighting is okay. Let me know in the comments. So I'm gonna get right to it. I traveled for 3 weeks backpacking in Europe while in my first trimester with my twin babies. That's right. Yeah, I planned this trip before I knew I was gonna be pregnant. I also didn't know I was gonna be pregnant with twins, of course, when I planned the trip. So I just figured let's just go with it, and I'm gonna go with the flow, and it's gonna work out. Like I just prayed and I just knew it's all gonna go the way it needs to go. So I was traveling with my husband and also with my parents, and we went and visited some family in Germany, and then we went and did a bunch of touristy stuff in different parts of Germany as well as Austria. So I actually have a lot of experience traveling. My husband and I have visited so many countries together, 18 actually, and by myself I've been to 20 countries. So most of my travel has been with my husband. And honestly, this was no different except for the fact that I was pregnant. And so I'd say the main things were really just to make sure that I really listened to my body while I was traveling. Go with the flow, remember to breathe, take it slow, especially given the fact that I was in my first trimester. So I don't know if you've seen my pregnancy videos, but I talk a little bit about what it was like being pregnant with twins. During our travel was no exception, although I will say during the time of the first trimester, and especially anywhere between, for me personally, 10 to 14 weeks, that is when the morning sickness kind of kicked in. And honestly, I didn't really have hardly any morning sickness. Literally, I actually got sick 2 times my entire pregnancy, which I have heard of people getting sick every day. I've heard of people not having it at all. So it really depends. I mean, completely person to person. But for me personally, with my twins, the only times that it happened was one, when I actually woke up in the morning, did not eat breakfast, instead decided to go for a walk, and then took a shower and did all of these things still without food in my stomach. And then that's when it happened. I think I just put too much pressure on myself. I needed to have something in my system to be able to function. And I don't know if this is you, but I am totally a breakfast person. So if I don't eat breakfast anyways, like I need that to function. So I think that was just my body telling me, like, don't forget to eat breakfast. And also I think the fact that I showered without having something in my system is also hard. Like if you're trying to do your makeup or put it in a contact or shower, I mean, any of those things where you're standing in one place with like the heat of whatever room you're in, typically I'd say in a bathroom setting is when like that lightheadedness can kick in or whatever, you start to feel weird. So if I would suggest anything to you, I'd say make sure that you keep yourself fed and listen to your body at all times. The only other time that it happened was actually on our way back, all the way home from Austria. I had made it through a whole day of feeling kind of off. And I knew in the morning, like we went to the airport in Vienna and I knew something was off. And so I just went with the flow. Remembered to breathe, drank a lot of water, tried to eat as much as I could, like while feeling good, but I didn't try to push myself to eat anything I didn't feel like I could stomach. And then it was by the time that we landed, like I held it together so good, you guys. The whole flight, this is like a 10.5-hour flight, and we land and it's just a really bumpy landing. Oh gosh, I was so mad at whoever was flying that plane. Like I fly all the time. I love to travel. Like I said, I've been in 20 countries. I love traveling. And it was such a bumpy landing that it happened. And I felt so sad and terrible. Like I was crying, I like couldn't look around at like the people who saw me like get sick. Like I had like the, whatever the flight bag thing that they give you, but I was so embarrassed, guys. And I was like, oh, these people think I'm just a wimp and I don't know how to take a plane. And I totally do. I travel. Like I wanted to scream, like I'm pregnant with twins. Like stop looking at me. you know, but I mean, again, it doesn't matter because at the end of the day, I knew that like, you know, I know what's going on with my body and I know that I did a really good job the whole time feeling weird. So I think honestly, given that those are the only 2 times that I had morning sickness, like I think I did really good in that realm. Regarding flights and trains and scheduling and emotions, this is something to consider if you're traveling pregnant. Honestly, I'm always the kind of person that's like, go, 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 plan one thing at a time, hour to hour, like schedule it out, get it done. But honestly, we didn't have a lot of blank space. And a lot of the travel itineraries that we planned out, we were going from train to train with like minutes to spare or plane to plane with a very short layover. So there were a couple of times where we were like really stressed out trying to get to the next place. And I would not recommend it because when you're pregnant, your hormones are a little different than normal. And I'm like usually like super chill, go with the flow, like we'll figure this out, we got this. And I just found it so emotionally difficult. In fact, there was one time where we just about almost missed one of our train connections in Europe and we made it, thank goodness. I don't know what I would have done if we wouldn't have made it. I mean, honestly, if we wouldn't have made it, it would have been okay. Like, I would have been fine. We would have just gone and gotten some food and hung out and waited a few hours for the next train. I mean, it would have sucked, but it's okay. So we like ran and we couldn't find the platform, and we finally did, and like get in the train in the nick of time and like find seats. We sit down, and I don't even care who's sitting by us. I just start bawling like my eyes out. And oh man, like I was with my parents at that time and they felt so sad for me. They were like, it's okay, you know, and I think they knew like my hormones were kind of like going all crazy because of being pregnant. So I mean, if you are traveling with people, maybe just let them know, you know, ahead of time. And actually, this leads me to mention a whole nother thing. If you're traveling with friends and you're not wanting to tell them yet that you're pregnant, if it's your first trimester and you're like not letting it out of the bag yet, I mean, totally do you. Like if you need to take a break or take an extra few minutes in the bathroom just to breathe, like do that. It's okay. I actually went on a shorter trip during an earlier part in my pregnancy. Even like, honestly, I think I was only 8 weeks pregnant when I went on this trip, and I went river rafting in Seattle with some girlfriends, and I was eating food the whole time. I was so hungry, like all the time. And one of my girlfriends was making so much fun of me. She's like, we should call you the popcorn lady because you just have a bag of popcorn with you like all day today. And I'm like, I don't know, I just feel like eating popcorn, you know. It was like so hard to keep a secret from people, but it's totally cool. Like I thought that everyone suspected what was going on. Like I was like, oh crap, like everyone knows. But you know what, don't worry, like they might not know, it's okay. But anyways, regarding scheduling, make sure that you give yourself time to get from place to place because you want to make sure that it's not too emotionally draining and also not too physically draining. You don't want to push yourself too hard. Also, the things that you have planned that are like physically, you know, like difficult to move around, you're going and doing a lot of walking or hiking, like if that's you, that's awesome. Like I'm the same way. I did a ton of hiking and biking. In fact, when my family was visiting the Alps, we did a huge bike trail and it was so beautiful. And honestly, looking back, I'm kind of like, ooh, it's a little worrisome that I actually did that because it was kind of like treacherous in some areas and we were riding our bikes pretty fast. But I did fine. I didn't fall. It was all good. Thank you, God. It was all good. And we got some amazing pictures. Bottom line is like, just take it slow and listen to your body. It's okay. Another tip for traveling while you're pregnant is when you pack things that are comfortable and stretchy. I mean, I would honestly recommend this anytime that you're traveling just because comfort is everything when you're on the go, but especially when you're pregnant, even if you're not showing, something is growing in there. A baby is growing and it does take up space, and whether you see it or not, you will feel it. So having something that's not too tight around like your midsection, I think is so important. In fact, all I brought was maternity pants, and I hadn't even gotten into like wearing maternity pants yet, but I packed them because I knew it would be more comfortable and just have some extra space. Even if it's a little loose in your tummy, like believe me, you will definitely feel so much better wearing those than like traveling with like your tight yoga pants or something, which is what I usually travel with, or jeans or something like that. You know, anything that you're typically comfortable wearing. I mean, like if it's comfortable, fine, you know, go for it. You can always bring things and not wear them. But being me and on the side of like not wanting to pack things that I don't need, I just brought things that were comfortable and things that were universal that you can like wear in different situations. So you can even put a dress over leggings or whatnot, but maternity leggings were definitely my number one thing that I would recommend to pack. Also, comfortable shoes. Definitely a must. In fact, a whole nother point that I need to cover is when you're on the airplane, if you're pregnant, there's a good chance that you might have some swelling. Luckily, I didn't, but maybe it's because I took some precautions. When I was flying, I wore compression socks because my doctor had recommended it to me just as a precaution. And like I said, I didn't have any swelling while I was flying, but it's very common that pregnant women can have swelling while they're flying, and it's just because of the elevation change, the pressure change, and also sitting in one spot for a long amount of time, especially if you're traveling to a long distance. If you're on a long flight, it's really important to also move around and just get up, and you know, even if you're just doing laps around. I mean, honestly, when we were mid-flight and it was okay to just walk around, that's what I did. I just kind of hung out, and even if I didn't need to go to the bathroom, I would just walk to the bathroom and hang out and mosey on back, you know, take my time, just stand up, stretch my legs, breathe. I think that's all very helpful. Another thing I'll touch on is food that you're planning on eating / drinking. I love to indulge while I'm traveling, but don't forget that there are a lot of things that you can't eat while you're pregnant, and you can't drink obviously while you're pregnant. So basically, anytime that we were having a fancy outing, instead of having a glass of champagne or wine or beer or whatever you usually do, just spring for some exciting soda. I mean, I don't know. I tried some new sodas, and obviously you don't want to have too much sugar either, but there are tons of delicious drinks that you can have, and you can even ask the bartender or server to put it in a fancy glass to make you feel a little bit more classy or blend in or whatever. Honestly, I loved doing that. In fact, there were a couple times where I asked if I could have just a mocktail and put it in like a fancy flute glass or something, and they did it for me and added some like fancy lime or, you know, cherries on top, and it made me feel like I was totally part of all the excitement going on. And of course, with food, you know, there's different things you can't eat, like deli meats, which I didn't know, by the way. I did not realize that you can't eat like uncooked deli meat. I mean, I knew you couldn't eat like an uncooked steak or uncooked, you know, whatever, but I didn't realize that deli meat was uncooked. So, fun fact, if you're like a sandwich eating person, you technically can't have uncooked meat, which I didn't realize deli meat was uncooked. But anyway, that's a whole nother thing. I am really into seared salmon and sushi, and I was so sad I couldn't eat those things. I really, really wanted to, especially when we were staying at fancy hotels and they had like lox on the breakfast buffet. But I had to withhold myself, and that's okay because I know everything was worth it. Believe me, like if it comes down to it and it's a question about your health or your baby's health, like it's not worth it. None of it's worth it. Just focus on staying good, staying healthy, being the best you that you can be. Keep your energy up. Remember to rest. That's the other thing. So also, like I said, we love to go, go, go when I'm traveling. And there were times when I had to tell people I was traveling with, like, hey, I just need to set this one out. You guys go on an adventure without me. I'm just going to hang out and like watch a movie. I just want to relax for a little bit. And that's really hard for somebody like me to do because, like I said, I love to be on the go. It's really hard to sit out. Like, I am an extrovert 100%. And to just chill out and not be part of the party is really difficult, but it's okay. You know, people, again, like, they understand, they get it. Like, you need downtime, especially if you're traveling in general. Like, I think it's good to have some time to yourself, but especially if you're pregnant, remember to, again, just listen to your body, take time to chill out. Like, seriously, it's worth it. You will feel so good and glad you did it. And make sure that you get good rest. Make sure that you also book places that have comfortable beds. If you are traveling with people, and like me, we were renting different Airbnbs, and some of them had multiple bedrooms and some of them just had a fold out couch. I wasn't very happy on those fold out couches, let me tell you, but I did it and it's okay. It worked, but I would not recommend it, especially if you are later in your pregnancy. There were a couple times when I actually did just smaller like weekend trips when I was in my late part of my pregnancy. Like during my 3rd trimester, actually, we went up to the mountains and just spent a weekend and it was awesome. And we were supposed to have a 2-bedroom, but then they gave us the wrong suite and then we ended up getting a 1-bedroom. And so between 2 couples, we were trying to figure out who was gonna sleep where, and thank goodness, luckily they allowed me to have the room that had a big bed, because sleeping in a fold-out couch in your 3rd trimester, especially with twins, is not something that I think you want to do. So just a recommendation from me. Another little thing to be aware of is your sense of smell. In general, when you're pregnant, your sense of smell becomes very heightened and you may be turned off by things that you usually like, and vice versa. You might like things that you usually don't. All I'm saying is, it doesn't matter what it is, smells are much stronger when you're pregnant than when you're not. So I would recommend maybe packing a couple things if you're traveling with you that smell good, that you think, maybe if this one doesn't work, I can try a different one. Maybe it's just a couple different lotions. You never know what can do the trick. For me, I liked a lot of my different Bath & Body Works scents, and I can link them below if you'd like. I also, for some reason, enjoyed so much walking into different stores, like department stores with tons of leather clothing, or even something as simple as Home Depot. I have no idea why. It just felt really good to walk in there and like smell all of the fresh things that they had. Like if it's like freshly chopped wood or something. It's so funny how different things smell good to you when you're pregnant. But anyway, so just another thing to keep in mind. Also pack layers, because you might be getting warm and then cold and then warm and then cold. You never know, things are going on, hormones, crazy. So just pack extra layers that you can just take off or wrap around your waist, you know, put a jacket on or whatever. Easy. Make sure to drink lots and lots of water. I can't stress this enough. I mean, you need to drink tons of water when you're pregnant anyways, but even when you're traveling and you're on the go and you're just in general, it's a different level of energy that you're exuding. I think it's 100% worth it to focus on having a water bottle that you can refill, or buying multiple water bottles to be in the car that you can easily just like keep going whenever you need. Or if you're in an airplane, ask for extra water. They're not going to say no. So all those things definitely make a difference. And if we're talking about keeping water with you, I would also recommend to keep a couple snacks with you, even if it's just in your travel bag or in your purse. It's just like even something as simple as little saltine crackers. Like I'm not even a fan of those, but just something like that can get your metabolism going. It's just nice to have something little with you in case your body decides to get really tired all of a sudden, or even dehydrated or lightheaded. This happened to me when I was even just sitting in church. Like it was literally because I was sitting for so long, I think, that it just started to come over me and I literally felt like I was gonna faint. And I had had breakfast and everything. I had been drinking water all day. I have no idea what it was, but I felt like I was gonna faint. So I literally had to like lean over, and I was with my mom at the time, and I was just trying not to like fall on the ground. At that time, luckily my bump was showing, so it was kind of a little bit more clear about what was going on. People didn't like look at me and think like, oh, you know, what's going on with her? It was like, oh, she's obviously pregnant. Somebody help the girl. So a couple people actually just like threw snacks at me. It was like moms with kids. I was like, thanks for letting me have your kid's snack, you know? I felt so amazed that they were doing that. Oh, I love moms. Mom friends are the best. But it was something that I learned from the get-go to just keep a snack with you, because even the littlest thing getting in your system can help you completely reboot your energy until you can get something more in your stomach or in your body just to like keep you going. Okay, the next thing I want to tell you about is traveling on a boat. So I've talked about trains, I've talked about cars, I've talked about river rafting, biking, airplanes. Let's talk about boats. For our baby moon, I was 20 weeks pregnant with my twins, and we decided to go on a little baby moon, and we did a cruise, and it was absolutely beautiful. It was fall, and we went to Northeast USA into Canada. So we started in New York, and then we actually went up the coast into Maine and into Canada, Nova Scotia, and it was absolutely beautiful. Oh, but With that said, there are a couple things to consider if you're thinking about doing a cruise for your baby moon. I absolutely loved that I didn't have to go place to place and worry about catching trains and planes. I mean, that was really nice. It was very smooth, very chill, go with the flow, do things on your own time frame. But with that said, you got to keep in mind a boat is a boat and it does have to float. So you might have some rockiness. And this only happened for one day of our trip. It was a 7-day cruise. And on the last day, that's when it got rocky. Let me tell you, all the way up the coast, it was beautiful. Completely smooth water, totally great. We were just having a ball. I was eating whatever I wanted as long as I, stayed away from those couple of things that I mentioned, and then just having a good time. We didn't really go in the pool, but that's okay because it was kind of cold in that area. I wanted to go in the pool, which, by the way, you can get really good maternity swimsuits. I did get one and I did use it, and I would totally recommend it. I'll link it below. But either way, you can just hang out and do whatever you want on cruises, which is nice. And you can talk to tons of people. And especially if you're like me and I had like a pretty good sized bump by then with my twins, a lot of people were saying congratulations. And it was just like really fun. But the last day of our cruise, it got really rocky and it was rough. And thank goodness I was past my morning sickness phase. I didn't have any of that. And I kept everything down. I kept everything cool. But there were people that I could tell they were looking at me. And I mean, they knew the boat was rocking and it sucked. It was a sea day. Nobody could get off the boat. It kind of was just like everyone stuck together. But people were kind of looking at me and I could tell they kind of felt bad. Like they knew I was pregnant. And they were like, oh, that poor girl. But I held it together. I just drank a lot of water. I tried not to think too much about the rockiness. I tried to just enjoy it. We went and did like some games and we went and saw a theater show. We talked to a lot of people. We hung out at different bars. Even though I wasn't drinking alcohol, we could still just hang out and talk to people. So I think all of those things together really helped. On the days that we were in port, we were able to get out, go hiking and do whatever we want. And again, like I said, if it comes to excursions that you're planning, just listen to your body, go with the flow. If you need to take a day off, that's totally cool. The nice thing about cruises is, like I said, you can just relax. It's okay. Like you don't have to catch a train and go to the next destination. You can definitely just go with the flow and do what feels right. Eat all you want, all the ice cream you can think of. Depending on what kind of cruise you took. The one that we did was with Princess, and it was absolutely something that I'll remember forever. But yes, if you were gonna do any type of boat excursion or travel, just remember to keep in mind that you might have a rough day, and that's okay. Just remember to breathe, drink lots of water, just try not to think about it, and remember that everything is okay and you're gonna get through it. And don't forget to take lots of pictures while you're traveling. Oh my goodness. So when I was traveling, again, I was in my first trimester and I hadn't actually told anybody that I was pregnant, especially with twins, besides just like my family. So all the pictures I was posting of us traveling on Facebook and Instagram and all the things, I was actually trying to hide my bump. I was taking selfies from like here up. I didn't want people to know yet because I wasn't sure how things were gonna go. It was my very first pregnancy, it's just unknown. And so I was like hiding it. And oh, guys, looking back, I wish that for our big Europe trip, I would have taken more pictures of me with my bump because it was a small bump back then, but it was enough that I think people would have been able to tell because like I said, if twins, you start showing really early. So even if it's just a little bit, like, I don't know, I thought people were on to me for sure. So even if it's just for you, if you're not going to post pictures or whatever, if it's something that you just want to remember down the road, take pictures. Totally. Anything with your bump. I mean, oh, gosh, take a bump picture every week. Seriously, do it for you. If not for sharing with people, just do it for you so that you can look back and remember. Couple other things to keep in mind when you're traveling is depending on how far along you are, you may need to get a doctor's note to travel just in case. And honestly, even if it's your early part, like even if it's only your second trimester, it's definitely still a good idea to get a doctor's note just in case you are showing and they want to ask how things are going. So for me personally, again, I was showing really early because I was having twins. So when we went on our cruise, I did supply a doctor's note just to make sure that they would let me on the boat. The doctor's note basically just said she is in good health and her pregnancy is going smooth and she is currently this many weeks along, due date is this day. Like, that's really all they need to say is like when your due date is and how you're doing. And luckily my pregnancy was really smooth. Like I said, if you want to check out my pregnancy video, I've got that as well, just talking about what it was like being pregnant with twins, my personal experience. But this is really important whether you're on a cruise, a boat, well, cruise is a boat, ha. Whether you're on a cruise or an airplane or really any type of place where you're traveling. I think if it's something that's managed by a company, they want to see it just to make sure that you're okay. And if they don't ask, that's okay too. I think it's just safe to have it with you and the contact information for your doctor with you in case anything were to happen. I think it's important to have that on hand, just like I said, just as a precaution. I think there's never a problem with having some extra information for just in case. All right, well, that's all the tips that I have for you. I'm sure that I'm gonna think of more after filming this. I feel like there's just so many things that I want to share with you about traveling pregnant because I learned so much from doing it. And if you do have any other questions, feel free to comment below. I'm happy to answer questions because I feel like I've done it all while I was pregnant, honestly. But anyways, thank you again so much for watching, and I hope that you enjoyed this. If you did enjoy it, please give me a big thumbs up. Don't forget to click subscribe below and join the fam. I post videos weekly about motherhood, lifestyle, as well as some cleaning and adventure. So it's a whole bunch of fun going on this channel. If you want to see our day-to-day life with twins, check out my Instagram at Summer Winter Mom. We love to take fun pictures and go out and adventure in the mountains. So we've actually got a big trip coming up very, very soon. We're going to Germany and I cannot wait to share all about it. So woo, that's gonna be fun, traveling on the same long airplane as I did last year, but now with babies, not in my tummy anymore. Anyways, thanks so much, guys. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.